We're joined by Villanova student athletes Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Phil Booth. Again, our format will be the same as it was before. Please raise your hand and introduce yourself for the benefit of our guests at the podium. We'll bring a microphone to you so everyone can hear the question. Please raise your hand for questions for the Villanova student athletes, please. Start in the back.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer for Jalen. Jalen, what has your film study of Javon Carter told you, and what is he doing well, and is he doing anything better than back in your AAU days?
I mean, Javon, since AAU, he's gotten so much better as a player. And he was a great shooter, a great defender then. He's just really gotten a lot better now, being more consistent at it. I mean, as a team, we gotta play, together. There's no individual matchups. We gotta play together whenever we're on the floor. We know they're a great team with a great leader in Javon, but it's not just him. The whole team has great pieces. This is why they've come this far. So, I mean, they're overall a great team.
Here.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic. Mikal, what kind of influence did your mother have on you? I know she worked her tail off to raise you and to do what she did on her own. What kind of influence did that have on you and kind of who you've grown into?
A big part to who I am. And she's just very tough on me. And especially in high school, if I have bad games or if I miss a couple shots, she always make me have a little punishment for that. So just always staying on me. Even if I do well, she always congratulate me, but always, make sure I get better. And, I'm grateful to have her.
Go in the back.
Jalen, Tom Lydon from Boston 25 News. A question for you, just a general question about the tournament. How much do you pay attention to what else is going on around the country, if at all? And how does it affect your mindset, knowing that you're the team that many other teams are hunting?
I mean, I would say that we still watch a lot of basketball. I mean, whenever we can, we like just watching all types of basketball as a team. We definitely see what's going on around the tournament, around the country, but I mean, I don't think it affects our mindset at all. Our mindset is always to go out there playing for each other for 40 minutes, playing as hard as we can, sticking to our core values, for as long as we can. And that's been our mindset every game into the season. And even though it's a tournament, even though it's a Sweet 16, I mean, nothing changes for us.
Go down here in front, please.
Mike Petralia, CLNS Media here in Boston. Jalen, Mikal, and Phil, all of you, quickly, if you could address the fine line that you guys ride all season between your confidence as a top-ranked team in the country for most of the year and humility. It seems like you guys also have a sense of humility about yourselves.
I think we believe in one another, but anybody can be beaten. We have to have respect level for each team we play. As you see what's going on in March Madness, any team can go down. So we kind of just try to just be locked in, and I think the confidence comes from one another, playing with each other and trusting one another. But any given day, you gotta respect all these teams that we play because anybody can be beaten. So it's just us trying to find that balance, and I think we do a good job of keeping that humble mindset to each game.
Over here to the right.
Mark Herman from Newsday, New York. Phil, can you describe just the sheer enjoyment you're getting out of this year compared to not being able to chance to play last year? And also, do you feel for that kid on Purdue who is trying like crazy to play even though he's got a broken elbow?
It's great to be back playing this year. Love playing with the guys, just the team. I enjoy every moment of it, especially after sitting out. And yeah, I saw that with Haas. It was this elbow. I know he's a senior. He's trying to play it as much as he can. I saw he was struggling to shoot a free throw, but it's part of the game. He wants to be out there so bad. I see him on the bench cheering his teammates on, so that's what it's all about. But I wish Purdue best of luck, but I saw that, and it caught me too. I caught it off guard about how I love to play as well.
Go here in the front.
Just Julian Bembo from the Boston Globe. Just Jalen, I just wanted to clear something up for me. Who actually won the last game you played with you and your dad? And how did that? How was that game? I heard it was physical is the word that I would use. And what can you just describe your relationship with him and how he's gotten you this far?
The last game, it was a while ago. I want to say I won, but I know some way he finds a way to cheat. But I mean, those are pretty physical battles. He was just trying to beat me up, trying to test me, see if I would break or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure I won. I'm pretty sure. But I mean, my relationship with him is like any other father-son. I mean, I love my dad. I love him to death, and he's been a great father figure for me. It's something I wouldn't change for the world. But I mean, as it comes to my relationship with him as a coach player with him, it's totally different. He wants me to be the best player I can be. He wants to push me to be the best player I can be, just like Coach Wright. So, I mean, once I figured out the difference between him being a father, being a coach, life became a lot easier.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. Phil, you mentioned that anybody can be beaten on any night. Did you guys get a reassurance or a reminder of that with the Virginia loss? And how does that impact you guys, especially knowing that you kind of taken over the mantle as the favorite after that?
We know any game could be our last. It could have been Radford. It could have been Alabama. So we just made it here. Of course, that game against Virginia UMBC was a great game played by UMBC. Just happened to come down on the top and beat Virginia. But I don't think that affects us at all. We still approach our games the same way. We just try to stay focused on our next opponent, which is West Virginia right now. So we can't let what's going on around us in March Madness really affect what's going on with our team. We just try to stay focused and locked in on our next opponent.
Lisa Chung with the Skyboat. So the Philadelphia Eagles this year, going into their season, had a theme song, which was Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares. Do the Wildcats have a theme song for this season?
No, we don't. We don't have one.
Mike Abelson, New Hampshire Union leader. Mikal, Nova has been has been synonymous with success these last few years, and there's that phrase "winning breeds winning." Do you guys see any truth to that? That all these successes kind of help you succeed more as time goes by.
I mean, it gets tougher as you keep winning because it's hard for you to stay humble and hungry, right? But Coach does a great job with us, and we're all smart individuals, and we know that egos are our biggest competitor right there, and we're all humble, and if one person has a big ego, it could mess up this whole team, and we care about each other so much that we don't want to mess up this team, and we just keep staying humble.
Adam Zagoria for Jalen and Mikal. The Big East came out with a recommendation yesterday that instead of the one-and-done rule, they should have a two-and-none rule where guys have to spend at least 2 years in college once they commit to college. Just wondering what your thoughts on that are. Do you think that's fair? Do you think guys should be able to go straight from high school? What do you think about the two-and-none idea?
It's the first time really hearing about that, but I mean, I think if guys should be able to have their own decision. If they feel like they're ready to go to the NBA, then straight out of high school, then let them make that decision. But I just think with the Big East doing that, it's really my first time really hearing about that. I think the Big East doing that, I mean, they're just trying to implement ways to make college basketball better. They want guys who want to be in college, make sure they stay in college. And guys who want to go to the NBA, just let them go straight out of high school. So, I mean, it's really in the best interest for college basketball, just to throw out ideas so they can all come to an agreement and find a way to make college basketball better.
Yeah, I feel like the same way. If they feel like they're ready, coming out of high school, then it's blessed on them. They go to the NBA. But I see what Big East is doing too, trying to make NCAA even more competitive, which it probably will be if people who are projected like top 5 pick who stay an extra year, that would be more competitive. But yeah, same thing Jalen was saying.
Back to Joe.
For all the players, what was it like with your travel troubles yesterday? Did you feel like you were ever going to get out of the parking lot? And how long were you on the tarmac before you guys actually took off for Boston?
I mean, we were on the bus longer than we were on the plane. It it was pretty interesting, but I'm just glad we made it safely out of there. And that's really all I have to say.
Took us a little bit to leave Davis Center. You know, it took us about maybe like 30 minutes for us just to leave the parking lot. But yeah, I'm just blessed that we made it through and made it here. And but yeah, it took a while. It took a while for us to take off.
On the right's Nicole.
Nicole Arbach, The Athletic. Phil, just because you're the designated Virginia/top seed / being a favorite question answer, I'm wondering what it's like in a game where you are favored in a tournament and maybe there's a push from an upset. Like what it feels like. Is there pressure? Does the crowd turn on you guys? Like what that experience is like that we've seen a lot of teams this last weekend kind of fell prey to.
I don't think at this point there would be any upsets. I don't think. If you're at this point, you're just as good as the team in front of you. I think it's just really about who's playing well at the right time, and West Virginia's playing just as good as anybody else or along with other teams. So it just doesn't really affect us. Doesn't really. We don't go out there playing afraid to lose. I think we just try to play Villanova basketball over 40 minutes, and we'll live with that outcome.
Back over here.
At Lisa Chung with the Skyboat. You guys are veterans coming into this. How have you prepared, your younger teammates into coming into this tournament?
I think we did a great job of not really, changing anything we do. Even though it's a tournament, there may be a lot at stake. But, nothing changes for us. Every time we step on the floor, we play like it's our last. We don't really necessarily care for the result. We just want to make sure that we're playing for each other and hard and together for 40 minutes. And if that leads us to keep winning games and get us to where we want to go, to where people want to see us go, then so be it. But at the same time, we just want to keep playing for each other. And I think we stress that enough to our guys, and we're going to keep stressing that if we're so fortunate to keep advancing. So we're just going to make sure that nothing changes every game.
Time for one or two more for the Villanova student athletes. Back over here.
Mike Abelson, New Hampshire Union leader. Jalen, how do you think Coach Wright's going to be able to compete with Coach Huggins tomorrow in the fashion department?
They have two unique styles. I think they both, I think they both have a very, good chance of winning in their own bracket. So Coach is over here, Coach Huggins is over there. So I'm definitely unique.
Final question, Nancy.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. Jalen, and the experience of winning it all, how much does that help or how much does that change your guys' mindset? And does it come into play more the deeper you get into the tournament, or is it something that it's more just an overall benefit or an overall experience?
Could you say the last part of your question again?
Sure. The experience of winning it all and the lessons that you took from it 2 years ago, how much of a factor is that for you guys, and does it play more of a role the deeper you get into a tournament like this?
I think the experience we got from winning that national championship was just us really remembering what it took. It didn't take big shots. It didn't take crazy plays that happened during the game. I think it started with our approach. It started with our mindset to go into games. The experience that us three have during that time was that we just saw how locked in our leaders were and how dialed in they were to scouting reports and everything like that. And I think we just got to do the same thing, just be locked in, focus on each other and not really worry about winning or losing, but just go out there playing as hard as we can and living with that outcome.
Villanova, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To the Villanova University Wildcats, representing the Big East Conference with a record of 32-4. We welcome Coach Jay Wright. Coach, if we could begin with just your congratulations. First, congratulations on advancing, and we get your thoughts on the tournament so far and your matchup with West Virginia, please.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Great to be in Boston. Great town. We're staying down at Copley Plaza, which reminds me of our old days as assistant coach. We used to stay there when we played at the Garden against BC, so it's nice to be here. Tournament's been just amazing, everything you'd hoped it would be. We've played well. The upsets are crazy. Just a typical crazy NCAA tournament. And then the matchup with West Virginia, it's what you get at this point in the tournament. Sweet 16, you're going to play a great team that's playing on all cylinders. You can't get this far unless you're really clicking right now. I think very similar to us. I think it's a team that has grown throughout the year and is really playing their best basketball right now, as we are. A really unique style of play that you don't see any other time during the year or from any other opponent. So I think it's going to be a kind of game we're going to have to get in it, kind of take a punch in the mouth there for a second, and then get ready to adjust, because it's hard to simulate. We just haven't seen it anywhere else this year.
Take questions for Coach Wright, please. Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Nicole.
Nicole Auerbach, The Athletic. Jay, I'm wondering, and I know you're probably just focused on you guys in West Virginia, but Purdue and Texas Tech, this is like the only region that's kind of true to form and hasn't had the crazy upsets. I'm wondering if there's anything you sense between the teams that are here in Boston that has allowed them to play through and avoid these crazy upsets that you mentioned.
Yeah, good defensive teams. I think each of these four teams have at some point survived maybe a half of not making shots, but their defense has kept them in it. And, in one way or another, but all the teams, and we really haven't been that kind of team during the year, but we've become that kind of team at the end. But Texas Tech, Purdue, really solid. Obviously, West Virginia, incredibly effective defensively. That gives you, it gives you your best chance to survive in advance.
Go back to Mike.
Hey, Jay. Mike Abelson, New Hampshire Union leader. Sagaba Kanate has the ability to change games and swing momentum with a big block. What's the plan to try and neutralize him and try and almost go around him offensively?
Again, I don't know. I just don't think we faced anybody like that during the season. And we didn't play Arizona. We were going to play them in the Bahamas. So you have to just really make good decisions when you get to the rim. You can't say that, all right, they got a great shot blocker, so we're not taking the ball to the basket. You can't say that. And you can't say we're going to challenge this guy, because we've seen some teams try to do that. You have to be a good decision maker, and you can't be afraid of failure. So sometimes you're going to make the right decision. You might catch a foul on him. Sometimes you're going to go and he might get you. But you have to be smart about it.
To Mike in the back.
Mike Jensen, Philadelphia Inquirer. Jay, the last time you were coaching here, Scotty Reynolds was taking a shot against Pitt. I'm writing something about how, obviously, this season those two programs are at opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm curious, when thinking about the craziness of that, looking at the context of league realignment, since you were pretty open about looking to be in the top league you could be, whether it's Power 5, Power 6, whatever. I'm just curious if you can get your own head around how sometimes there are unexpected consequences.
Yeah, so Mike's from Philly, so he always comes up with good stuff. So that's actually very interesting. That's an interesting perspective right now. One I obviously haven't thought about a lot because I'm concentrating on West Virginia, but it is really interesting. I would say at that time when we were playing Pitt here, I was hoping to be in the old Big East forever and the greatest league ever and the best basketball league in the country. I never thought we would be at this point here, where we're in a new Big East, and now I think that's the best league in basketball. and when this league first started, I wasn't as much concerned about this league as I was just really disappointed in the old Big East that we knew and loved, that was so solid, and that it was going away, right? And so I didn't really think about how it was going to affect the other teams going to the ACC or whatever they did. But I'll tell you what, I would have never thought back then that we would be in a league as successful as we are, and I would be as happy about a new league, and that Pitt would be where they are. To give you an honest answer, that's probably the best I can say.
Go back over here.
Hey, Coach. Tom Lydon, Boston 25 News. You mentioned a couple times now you're reminded of your past trips here to Boston.
Yeah.
I was hoping you could maybe go down memory lane a little bit and talk about what it was like to come to the old Garden and be a part of games there. Man, you know, when I was an assistant at Villanova, every game we played here, we played at the Garden. So I never played a game. I don't know, towards the end, they had new Conti Forum towards the end as an assistant. But playing at the Garden was awesome. I remember my first year as an assistant, I couldn't wait to get on the court and take a shot, you know, where Bob Cousy and John Havlicek had played. I ran in there like totally uncool. I just want to get a ball and take a shot in there. And, you know, we'd always stay down here at Copley Plaza. And Coach Mass always had a Chinese restaurant that we always went to here, the same place every time. So win or lose, we knew we were playing at the Garden. We were going to a Chinese restaurant. They would stay open late for us, and back then you'd stay overnight. You know, you'd fly back the next day. So it was always a great trip up here. We had a lot of Villanovans up here. We'd always have a big alumni reception after the game. Just great memories of this as a basketball town, great Big East town, and great battles with Dana Barros back then. Just some great battles with. Then at Conti Forum, when Al Skinner was there, some great teams also. So we've had some battles with BC.
Down in front, please.
Mike Petralia, CLNS Media here in Boston. Jay, every coach, I think, looks early in the season for kind of defining moments, and I think at halftime against Tennessee in the Bahamas might have been one of those for you. Wondering what you guys might have learned, or what you learned about the team that second half and, you know, early on in the season from that point on.
No, that was a really significant game for us in that it was our first game against a high-level athletic opponent, physical athletic opponent, you know, much like West Virginia. But it was the first time that group had faced them, and we got in foul trouble early. We were playing tough, but we got in foul trouble. Bridges, Brunson were in foul trouble. We were down 14 at halftime. And it was early in the season, so I was calm at halftime. I just knew it would be a good experience for us. But Bridges and Brunson took over after I left the locker room and got everybody together and said, we got this. We're going to battle back. And those two, defensively and on the glass, really took over the second half. We came back and won pretty handily. And it really set the tone for who the leaders were, how physical we could play, how tough we could be. Now, we didn't stay consistent with that through the year, but it did set the tone for the first time.
Front to Rich.
Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Coach Huggins kind of gave you credit for coming up with some of the best ideas he ever stole.
I can't share with you any ideas I got from Hugs because they're all off the court, and I can't talk about them.
To Nancy.
Nancy Armour, Today Sports. Jay, I've got two questions. First is, when you look at the upsets that have happened, does a game like Virginia, UMBC, does that give you kind of a teaching point for your kids? Like, they know that it can happen at any game, but here's proof of that. And then, especially your seniors, what have you seen from the experience of 2 years ago? How does that help them in a tournament, especially the deeper you're going?
Yeah, first, the Virginia game was so impactful, and we happened to be in a hotel room in Pittsburgh where we could all watch it. So you watch it together. We didn't even have to talk about it. It was so impactful that you didn't have to say it. And we had been in that game so many times, and I had talked about it so many times, saying that this is going to happen. You know, you got to respect these guys. It wasn't a matter of fear, like don't let it happen to us. It was just, you just have to respect these teams because I believe it was 05. We played Monmouth. We were 116. We almost got beat. We played American one year. We almost got beat. Mount St. Mary's gave us so after that game, we didn't have to say anything. And your second question was about we don't have any seniors, but I know you're talking about Jalen Brunson and Bridges and Booth. The further you advance in this tournament, the more the unique the experience is. For instance, when you get to a Final Four, there's no way you can explain to somebody before you get there what it's going to be like. The first time we went, I called a number of coaches that I respected. They gave me a lot of great info, and still I felt like I wasn't prepared enough the first time. These guys have seen it all. So I really think they're valuable to our younger guys just in how they talk about every step, how they conduct themselves every step of the way, because they're living what we're telling them.
Time for two more. We'll go to Adam and then Pete.
Hey, Jay. How you doing?
Hey, AZ.
So the Big East yesterday came out with a recommendation that there should be a 2-and-none rule. Did you see this?
Yes.
Instead of the 1-and-done. What are your thoughts on this? We asked Jalen and Mikal about it. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think there should be no age limit? What do you think?
Val talked to all the coaches about that stuff, and the athletic directors, and in general, we're all in agreement with that. With that paper she produced, we are in agreement. There's little different areas, and in the postseason I would go into it more in depth. But I just think there should be a relationship with the NCAA and the NBA, because the whole issue is an NBA issue. That these players should be allowed to come out of high school and go right to the NBA if they're good enough. And if they're good enough to be potential NBA players, they shouldn't have to go to college if they don't want to. They should be given an opportunity in the G League to earn the amount of money that they're worth and not have to go to college. One of the problems, not all the problems, in college is some players are being forced to go, and coaches are being forced to coach guys that don't want to be in college. And that's on the NBA. It's not on the NCAA. The NBA should provide an opportunity for them to go to the G League and be developed in G League if they don't want to be educated and go to college. So we're putting kids in a tough spot. We're putting college coaches in a tough spot. Now, college coaches and the NCAA have to take our responsibility for a lot of other things. But that's one of the areas that I think is important.
Have you ever had that problem of coaching a kid who didn't want to go to college?
Yes.
Take the last one from Pete, please.
Jay, Pete Thamel from Yahoo. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your philosophy recruiting-wise in terms of I don't believe you've had any one-and-dones at Villanova, and you've obviously gone after guys like Kid Gilchrist and Mist and everything, and it's certainly you've become a developmental program and worked out. I wonder if along the way there was ever a conscious decision, or it's just sort of evolved that way, Jay.
You know what, Pete? It's evolved, and we get asked about this so much. I would love to have one of those one-and-done guys. Some of them, I can't name them because of recruiting rules, but there's local guys we don't get. Michael Gilchrist was one that was coming down to us or Kentucky. I really thought he would have been great at Villanova. It's more the individual person. He was a good kid, good student. He loved Villanova. John just did a better job at the end. But there's certain guys that just don't fit our culture. So it's kind of, and it's the beauty of college athletics. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You could go to an Ivy League school and still make the NBA. You can go for 1 year and make the NBA and come back and get your degree. It's just our culture is such that we want someone that wants to be in college. And if they're good enough to leave in 1 year, Kyle Lowry was good enough in 2 years. If they're good enough to be a first-round pick in 1 year, great. And go, and then let's work out a way for you to come back and finish your degree and remain a part of the Villanova community. That's our philosophy. But I don't want it out there that I'm against one-and-dones, and I don't want it out there that I don't want them, because I want them. I try. And just, certain ones we really try. We just lost a local one that's a great kid, and he's going to be very successful, and he picked a great school. But we wanted him.
Coach Wright, thank you.
Thank you, guys.